Hi, everyone. My name is Omega. No, there is no Alpha, and that is my real name. I'm the content manager at SME South Africa, and welcome to the SME Podcast. Today, I have a very special guest. He is the CEO of AAA Consortium, Mr. Ruan Fourie.
Hey. Thank you, Omega. Thank you so
How
much.
are you, Ruan?
I'm great, thank you. And yourself?
I'm good, thanks.
Good.
So to start us off, can you please tell us about yourself, a bit about your professional background, and what led to your position in this company?
All right, that's an interesting question. We have an hour, right?
Yeah, but no pressure though.
So, to give you a bit of background, my entire past or history comes from being a supplier. So we didn't come from banking, we didn't come from finance. I've been involved since the age of 20 in companies that supply predominantly government. I think backing myself, which we have paperwork for, we've delivered to government over 11,000 times, 11,000 different POs. And and that led to, at the same time, you run your own business, you work with other people, they bid for tenders and get all of these and RFQs and purchase orders. And at some point, you start realizing this business is shifting from us being the supplier to us now having to partner with a lot of SMEs to become the new supplier, which is obviously the government's way of saying that SMEs are the backbone of the country. We had to make the dramatic shift. And I mean, after 10 years of being in the supply industry, we've built great relationships with hundreds of suppliers. We've seen what can go right. We've seen what can go wrong.
Yeah.
We've learned all the lessons. I mean, take it back to 2010, if I call it that, or 2010 to 2012 was a period where you still had to fax your quotations and orders up and down to each other. You know, emails was non-existent within any government department, if you call it that. So we derive from that time. We've been part of all the changes within government, seen how they've become better and also how their plan is rolling out to support SMEs. And I think we are privileged to be at the forefront to assist the SMEs in supporting the mission or the goal of what the country set out.
That's beautiful. So before we dive into purchase order funding, I want us to play a quick icebreaker. So in this icebreaker, I'm basically going to give you a few business scenarios and then you're going to say fund, pass, or potentially if the business has some sort of potential to be structured for funding.
Perfect.
Right. Okay. So the first one is an SME has a signed government purchase order, but no money to buy stock. Fund or pass?
Potentially fund.
Okay. Can you expand on that?
Well, it depends on, can I do a deep dive on this question?
Yes, definitely.
All right. So, look, at the end of the day, it's going to be a bit controversial what I say, seeing that we are that business, but I dislike the word funding. I'm not a big fan of it.
Oh, that's interesting.
And the reason for me saying that is we deem ourselves, and that's why we're not called AAA Consortium and not AAA Capital or AAA, funding partners or anything in that sense. We see ourselves as a consortium. So instead of saying we're someone's quick way out in getting capital, we bring the service. Like AAA Consortium employs about 32 staff members permanently or across the country. And every single deal that we do, 32 people work on that deal. Obviously led by myself and my executive team and everybody having extensive experience in this. If this SME got their first order, what we don't want to do is we don't want to call them in and say, you have a great deal and here's funding and we'll pay your suppliers and move forward. We bring the service, we bring the skill, we bring the lessons. We'll probably bring them a supplier cheaper and definitely better. Most cases, suppliers that we've worked with for 10 years that we know actually delivers, and you pay them and it gets done. And secondly, we got an entire division, just to call it that, we call track and trace and payment follow-up, which we track and trace every single order and we follow up payment. Like we push government to pay, and that's a factor. So if you're asking me this question of a client has a valid purchase order, there's a lot of factors that's going to affect.
That's true.
That is what we fund. I think the first one we look at is the SME compliant. So are they tax compliant? Is everything compliant? Because we don't want to deal with a company that doesn't have compliance, because then you cannot expect the government to do payment to a non-compliant vendor. Secondly, we'll have to look at margin. We'd have no set margin, but I mean, if you've added 5% on your margin, there's really no scope. But we usually look at that, and then we see which department it is. I mean, coming from where we come in, funding around about 1,000 deals a month, we've got data. We've got the data to prove this specific department has always paid well, suddenly not paying, or this municipality's pay or does not pay. So if you've got a purchase order, easiest way to set your business back is start delivering to a government department that delays payment or does not pay or waits until next financial year to pay you. So we try and avoid that. Obviously, our clients within AAA Consortium, we guide them, we tell them, listen, guys, like for instance, that currently you don't want to fund health. It's just, there's no payment. If I have to call names, I'm just saying one of many, but we advise them not to waste their time, not to go for the briefings, not to tender there, because even if you win the tender, even if you fund it, they are not going to pay it. They've declared that they have 40% less money that they should have to pay current deals. So do you really want to jump into that? So those are the main factors usually: margin, compliance, and obviously also what you're delivering.
Yes.
That's a big part as well. Look, our variety is big. Like my days are crazy. It will start in the morning with sheep for agriculture. We'll move to laptops and then some pipes for Eskom and then some transformers for Transnet.
Sure.
and some branded clothing for. So it depends what. So if given the commodity, it's like it excites me if I see something that we haven't done yet.
I love it.
After the 10 or 12 years, we've delivered, we've been involved, we've learned lessons. Obviously, anybody does. We've seen this work, that doesn't work. So, yeah, that's basically what we try and establish is instead of saying I'm someone's funder, we come in as a partner. We come in saying it's not going to help. I mean, let's break it down to SMME level, seeing that we're all SMMEs. You start a business, and you got this list of compliance to tick box before you can even start quoting government, right? How you go and do that? There's plenty of people. People can phone us and ask us who can assist. We don't assist clients with that part. Just to start your business, there's thousands of people out there. I mean, just go to TikTok and Google PR funding. You'll find you go for the 5 best ones, try all of them. I mean, I've seen some of them advertise rates like 600 Rand to teach you how to register and all of this. So I have no personal recommendation on who, what to wear. AAA Consortium kicks in when you get that business, when the business is now real, where the business is going to be businessing, if I can call it that. Like we have to execute on what was given to us. That's where we come along, and not only with money. I mean, there's a lot of situations where we don't even come with money. It's suppliers that we've had for 10, 11 years. We let them know, listen, this transaction is new AAA deal, and we do the business on a 30 or 60-day statement from accounts. So it's not always just raise money and pay, and then we've got some suppliers that let us pay them at the time of when the deal's concluded. So that means we haven't taken out any money, but we're funding deals. Yeah. So that's what AAA is there for, is once you get that awarded PO, to get it over the line. Traditionally funding would be you come to me and you have everything in order. We expect our clients not to have everything in order. If you reach us and you've had this purchase for the last 2 weeks and you had to deliver a week ago, we'll help you recover. We'll go to the department with you and say, listen, your client, I know they said it's on its way, but it's not, but it is now. So that's one little scenario I'm putting forward. But I think that's why I do not like the word funding. Funding sounds like, listen, I come here, you need to teach me how to bake today. I've never baked before, and you give me a bunch of ingredients and tell me bake away. What we do is we'll come and we'll say, this is how we execute. This is how we do it. So to that question, sorry, that was a long answer, but
no,
to your
I
question,
love it.
To your question, yes, that is our cup of tea. We don't even decline or say no to people who have deals in mining or private sector. Bring it along. I mean, if it's an easy one, bring it along. We don't have a dedicated, obviously our core focus is government for now, but we are busy implementing funds to do private sector or to do people with mining or invoice discounting or this kind of thing. I think we are at the point now where I can say we've really what's the nice word? Well, I'm just going to say it. We've waxed. We've conquered the peer funding to government. So I'm prepared to say, let's build a new foundation, start a new line, which probably be private sector, but we'll let you know, or we'll let everybody know once that is.
Yeah. I love the fact that you expanded on that question, because you help us and the audience understand what exactly is your cup of tea, as you said. And I just want you to break down for us what exactly is purchase order funding and the process that you guys go through.
So in this scenario, I'm going to use a practical real-life example. I'm just not going to pull out names. If my clients are listening to this, I'm sorry. You know who you are, but I didn't say your name. But I'll take a typical example of yesterday. So yesterday, a client approaches us. He's got a 5 million rand PO for government. Okay, the PO entails 180 laptops to be delivered to a specific head office department in Nelspruit.
Okay.
It sounds fairly simple. I mean, we're buying the laptops from an OEM distributor, meaning that it's the people who distribute the brand in the country. And we can simply go in and pay them and they deliver it. But it's not that easy. That's the way the deal was presented to us. Now we open up the deal and we say, okay, what does this entail? Now we revert to the original RFQ, which is request for quotation. And we look at what did the government request today. They asked for this tender to be submitted. Mm-hmm. What was the real specs? Because obviously on an order form from government it says laptops,
Yeah.
But what do they really want? We need to convert to what was the original before we even amended anything. What did they state? Now we start looking at this 180 laptops at a sell price of 5 million rand. That's the PO value, right? And then you quickly notice, but on the RFQ, it's stipulated that the department wants their name laser engraved on all the laptops.
Wow.
Now, this is a big spanner in the works, because this means we need to now move 5 million rands, newly packed, brand new, never been switched on labels, to an independent person who's going to put those new laptops into a machine that does laser engraving. And from there, these laptops, which is probably going to be worth 4 million rand, if we talk about cost, right? I know the order's 5 and 4, more than 4, with delivery, all of that. And we need to get said laptops from Johannesburg to Nelspruit. Now, I mean, this is a public tender. This is out there. It says department, it says who's awarded it. I'm just saying we've noticed that people keep their eye on this. Oh, so you've been awarded? We'll just wait idly until you move. I mean, 5 million rand in some cases, that would be more value than in a cash in transit truck.
Yeah.
And we're talking about sealed laptops here, 180 of them.
Yeah.
Imagine that big win. If the wrong people with wrong intentions need to be following the transaction.
Yeah.
So not only do we have to arrange a convoy and a special delivery that's off the books, like it's 1 or 2 warehouse people in that OEM is aware the vehicle might leave at 6 in the morning, take a different route than what was put on the computer to avoid theft, to avoid this. His insurance is in place. Now we've got this middleman. We now have to drop all of these laptops at a middle person who's engraving them back into the box and then deliver it to the department. On top of that, laptops come with headphones, they come with mouse, they come with keyboards. It's a package, it's a set. Now the client comes and he brings his quotations from his supplier, very, very good pricing. But then we realize, these keyboards and mouses, I wouldn't even buy that for myself, because it's like the cheapest. We're talking about 30 rand a keyboard. You know what you're getting for that. That's what he wants. And now after 14 years, what we've learned is that's going to arrive at the government. And the people who need to sign it off, the end users, the people, the procurement that's involved in the tender, they're going to sit there and say, but this is bad quality. We are specifically for this brand or this brand, or we cannot accept this. Government is not going to pay for a mouse that still has a wire. We want wireless. He's not quoted on wired. So we amend that affects the margin. So now you see how many complications came up to a simple yes. I mean, for 5 million rands business, to do that kind of business, there's going to be complications. And that is why AAA is there. AAA has dealt with it. We have the people for the engraving. We have the logistics. We've got it. We've proven it. We've done it hundreds of times over and over again. We've learned our lessons. Years ago, we had one special delivery we had to do all the way from here to Western Cape. There was 16 million on a truck and the truck went missing. So you have to understand.
Yeah.
So we've learned, you secure this, you insure this. And not only now we can insure it, but we don't want it to be stolen. Because why? It's 180 laptops. The supplier even had, the OEM didn't even have that in the country. They specifically brought them in. Because no one walks in and says, hello, give me 180 of these in one single order. This is a special order. So they had to bring it in. So now it gets stolen. Guess what? You don't have product to deliver. Your tender collapses. Everything goes wrong. We've already put time and effort in. So the ripple effect, if you don't do this right, is bad. It's bad. I mean, take SMEs as well, dealing with departments or especially municipalities who don't have money. It's a setback. That could be a year or two setback to your business. If you deliver to a municipality R500,000 stock and they just simply say, we don't have funds, we cannot pay you.
Sure.
As a SME, like besides the fact that you're already broke, because we've been there, right? You now have to take someone, a government department on legally. Now, let me put it in simple terms. We have a full in-house legal team, and we have had government that decide they want to do things that's not lawfully. We've sued government, and I don't think, even myself, you won't believe where legal costs can run quickly. If you're going to run 500,000 into legal cost just to recover 500,000 rand. So what do you do? What do you do as a SME? I mean, you're waiting for the deal, the profit in that sustains your lifestyle. And not just that. I mean, you hear all the business people speak of cash flow and all of this. How do you manage cash flow if you don't have it? If they haven't paid you? So what's the point?
Good question.
So that is why consortium is there, is to look at, and I mean, we've had departments that don't pay, but they pay our deals because they know consortium's going to retract, then no one's going to deliver. So either we get the CFO to commit. So to put it in simple, when someone approaches us with a deal, we are not your funders. We are not your investors. I'm not the bank. I'm not a finance person. We were you in your shoes. We've been funded. I mean, in the market of funding, you can call AAA the newbies in the market. Even though we're playing at the level often higher than a lot of the guys that's been along. A lot of them know me from the industry, but they knew me from back in the day as Ruan, the guys that used to come to us with a nice deal of funding. Where now that real estate, we're the funding company. But I mean, yeah, so at the end of the day, as an SME, what do you do if you don't get paid? What do you do if you think it's a quick deal? It's quick buy. It's 5 million rand stock. You're living in South Africa. We have to be real about these things. It's not an issue. We're not complaining about it, but we need to consider it. We cannot say, and that is what funding for us means.
And I think it's so interesting because it seems that because of your experience as a supplier, you understand the full supply chain process.
Yes.
And the next question I was actually going to ask, you've already answered. I was going to ask, how does, AAA Consortium consider the whole process? Sometimes it's not just about delivering the product. Sometimes it's the services, the setup, the delivery, the full process. So I think it's very interesting that you've expanded on that. But I just want to know, like, how do you unpack that process with your team in terms of the different components that are included in purchase order funding?
Yes, so obviously internally we've got a proper board, we've got a proper executive, but operations for us is number one. Finance is number second. It took us years to get where we are. We have banks and private equities and private funders and accounts with people and everything we have to fund. But I mean, the client, it's a take hands approach. So a client comes to us, says, listen, I've got set PO, we need to deliver. And we're like, right now, not only will we guide you on this, but also teach you. Because the whole idea of this is for this person to build his reputation, his business, go out and get more business and come back. So we are as keen to do this successfully and problems. I mean, it's like the purpose here today is not to speak about what anybody else does, but a lot of the clients that come to us, the problems they face is that they had a funder or a funding partner, or maybe sometimes it was friends, maybe this or that, and they run into problems and they don't know how to address it. If I've given someone money and they come back and say, oh, listen, the laptops have been burned. We're going to stick on this example, right? The laptops now by the licensing graver has been burnt. If that happens to us, that is not our client's problem. That is a us problem. That is a problem ourselves and our client carry together. And I think that's what differentiates. And if you speak to any of AAA's clients, they would tell you immediately within the first 5 minutes, they realize that they are not at a traditional funding company or, I'm not there to pay your supplier. We are there to take the deal over. Your deal has now become our deal. We take it as seriously as if a deal's going to collapse, it's our loss as well. If it's going to succeed, it's our win as well. And we upkeep that. I mean, you've asked me before, what is our slogan? It's achieved together. And that's what we stick by. We've never changed our slogan. And we believe in that. If we take hands, you bring what you need to do, because it's a lot of work. I mean, people say, it's simple, go and bid for government. Go and sit with one of these SMEs a day, see what it takes to complete 15 to 30 quotes every single day, because that's the numbers you have to hit. To get an order from government, you can't simply put in one bid, sit back, and then it comes to you. Your success rate is low. I mean, I'm seeing bids go out from government inviting 80 people to bid on one specific RFQ or PO or tender. I mean, what is your chances? Can be quite good. I mean, that's besides that part, a lot of these bigger tenders, the biggest orders in the market, look, it's all about preferential points. Preferential points being how local are you? Are you a woman? Are you youth? Are you black? Were you previously disadvantaged? And all of this carries a score. But part of that is also, do you have financial backing? Now, if you're part of consortium, I issue a letter. You simply send us an email. We've got a portal now for this. You upload the portal and we issue a letter saying that we will. So you include that into your tender document, and that states that we will support you financially should this become a tender. So now you've made that 1 or 2 points. At the end of the day, the deciding comes down to 1 or 2 points on who gets this bid, because you have to have the best preferential points. I'd say if you can, get full marks there. If you can. Don't fake disability, but yeah. but that needs to be included for full. And then your price is usually 70 or 80. It's a 70-30 or 80-20. That's the scoring.
Yeah.
Now get full marks on the one part, local, youth, women, black, all these things that's needed. And then there's a point or two for financial capabilities. We'll assist you on that.
That's where you come in.
I mean, now it comes down to your price. Now, the price, we don't want to get involved in that. That is not our job. We've done enough prices and quotations in our lifetime. Yeah. But what we do is we do introduce all of our clients to our list of 12 or 14 year long, or our list of all our suppliers.
I love it.
So if you had to phone some of our suppliers, like I'll give you an example. I'm not actually. I don't want to use names, so I'll use broad terms.
Use names, like,
we have a very popular two-way radio brand that correctional service and all of these use in the country, and correctional service often puts out bids to say, listen, have you? We need some new radios or battery, or we need repairs. No one repairs it anymore, but we need new stock. Then they invite 80 people. 80 people rush to one supplier and say, give us pricing. By the third guy, they realize, listen, there's probably another tender out. So then they become smart. They're like, yeah, you need to pay us. We'll give you a quote. From the supplier, because otherwise he's going to be doing 80 quotes. Now, are you going to give all 80 the same price? But if you're part of AAA Consortium and you channel through that to get the pricing, now the supplier will work with you. Because why? Supplier's been working with us for the last 3 years. And then now if AAA comes along, we pay up front for whatever we buy. So it's not some guy asking quotation, going to win the tender. And the day he has it, he comes to the supplier and like, yeah, please give me credit. And then the supplier's like, sorry, we don't do credit. Or do you have trading history? No. The simple answers. But that is what we're there for, because people don't realize it. And I think that's what clients pick up, is that we have been there. I mean, I remember back in 2015, that was about 2 years of it was really tough. Like, I remember when we used to pay something on time, we used to celebrate. Like, oh, we made an on-time payment for rent, or, it was tough. Like, like you're wondering, like, how am I going to have any money this weekend? It's like, get the payment today. By the end of the day, you got 85 rand in your account, if you're lucky.
And those are the challenges that SMEs face. That's like you said, they talk about cash flow, but then what cash flow? Because a lot of SMEs don't even. They're waiting for the next payment. I wanted to know that I think some SMEs have the understanding that as soon as they get a purchase order, then it automatically means they're going to get funding. What would you say to that SME?
No. AAA definitely not. There might be a newcomer in the PO space that it's very short-lived that might help you, but that's also going to be cut then again, because they'll obviously they're not going to make it, because we've all learned why you don't do that. So it's very important to go and see what you're bidding for, get your pricing right. Because a lot of people just quote for the sake of quoting to see what comes through. When it comes through, you think, okay, well, if it comes through, I'm going to hustle a good price. Some stuff you cannot hustle. Some stuff you cannot, especially OEM products. If they're saying we've spoken about these laptops, if that's the laptop, that's the laptop. What you needed to do up front is try and get leverage to get a 2 or 3% discount from the OEM supplier, because that 3% gives you a 3% advantage above whoever else is bidding. Yeah, and that's on the supply side of things. Obviously, we also fund other transactions that does not only entail supply and delivery.
Okay.
I think I don't know if you want to call it now. I don't even want to call it brag, but it's my Afrikaans coming through. But like the Paris Olympics, the entire event that was held in Paris, we funded 100%. The Sports and Arts and Culture Awards evening at Sunset, we funded 100% of those tenders.
Congratulations.
Thank
amazing.
you.
Yeah.
Just as the record, the biggest supply and deliver PO that we've ever funded was for Eskom, and that took 140 million rand of capital to complete. And that thing was done with zero issues. Like, we delivered, we got paid 2 days earlier than expected. What a nice deal. And then right after that, you got a small deal with issues. but there is just some examples of me saying we don't only look at, we've got currently at the moment now, I've got transactions where someone simply has to deliver rocks to Transnet, which they use on the lines, or this or that. So we do look, but that we call more our strategic. Like, these aren't normal PO funding where we look at it, supply, deliver, and chase it. These are more strategic deals, if we call it like that. Like, we need to build a little operation, maybe pull in someone with skill on this. But then it needs to have beef. It needs to be a deal that's worth it, $1 million plus, at least for us to say, okay, we're going to put some time aside, pull out our chief operations officer and say, build a little operation or a little process for this transaction in its entirety. But interesting stuff, man. You've got people that do payroll for SETA, and you have to bring these people and train them, pay them, and then only SETA pays you.
Yeah.
So we'll fund those things as well.
We've noticed that sometimes entrepreneurs wait a bit too late to apply for funding, even though you hate the word. So
No, you can
would
say
you say that they should familiarize themselves with businesses like AAA Consortium even before they approach a tender?
Yes, go and see if you have the pot before you bake a cake.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Make sure the trays for the baking is going to be there. So engage with us. Open up come engage with us. Tell us what you're bidding for. Even if you have nothing, we'll take the time. We'll put you on our system. Not only will it speed up once you've been awarded, it also gives us pipeline. It also tells us this guy's in the market. He's working towards us. I tell you, probably every single day, there is a client that comes in and they are 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month behind on their commitment to deliver. And they only found us now. They've been rejected by this, rejected by that. They come to us. We look at it differently. We might be like, okay, this could work. We've got to set up for this. And then we fund them. But then it's first, now we're taking an extra day to go and fix what has been broken. Because we need to go back, hand in hand, commit, prove to the government that we are now, because they've lost all faith in the supplier. So we need to hold hands and say, but we're his partner now. And here's what we have done. Here's the guarantees. Here's the correspondence. Then usually we get them to agree. Because you have to understand, for government to say cancel your deal, it's not an easy decision. Because once they cancel it, they need to probably redo the bidding process, which is going to take 2-3 months, and then issue out a new PO. And they might run into the same problem again.
Yeah.
And I think that's a major. To add on to this, I don't really want to pull out examples on this, but we've had so many cases where I can clearly see that, people often say, the government has not delivered on this, or government is slow. But if you look at the core, it's a supplier who didn't deliver. Someone will say, Home Affairs, why aren't you printing my ID card quicker? Well, the supplier had to deliver the plastic, never pitched. Wow. So they had to redo the process, get the second supplier, put him on board. So now they're backlogged 3 months because someone didn't deliver.
That's interesting.
You understand the ripple effect? Because we're already dealing with government, and to have the analogy to say government there's no service delivery. Nonsense. We've seen I'm not, please don't get me wrong, I'm not saying government's great. Right? Like they could do much better.
We won't coach you, don't worry.
But us coming from back in the day, dealing with government since faxing days and seeing how technology, how CSD, how this automated, CSD basically moved back before 2017, the introduction of CSD, it was the file on the shelf. Like if your information wasn't in that file, you don't get business. So if you wanted to do what guys do today, you had to post or fax or drive around to every, let's say for instance, you're targeting SAPs, like I'm giving examples. So you're a new SMME, you're a new business and you decide, listen, I'm gonna filter not the entire government, I'm gonna focus on being a supplier for SAPs, which isn't a bad idea because you've got 1,800 police stations over the country and that's excluding their border posts. So I'm going to make work of becoming an excellent supplier to SAPs for all their needs, all their stuff, and you start getting in, right? And next thing you know, you've got 2, 3, 4 different police stations using you. And I mean, I've met businesses now that have 600 police stations that buy from not consecutively, they need to rotate, but they're on the database. Now, let's say prior to 2017, you had to now get your file to 600 police stations.
Sure.
With original, that was the old way.
Yeah.
CSD came in, automated it, so that gives you exactly from your, let's say your target audience was like this. Now you got the whole country. You simply need to be compliant, check online for bids, do a bit of marketing, even though they're going to tell you it doesn't help your market, it does. It does. Once you've proven to them, once you come to AAA, we fund, we deliver, you build up a reputation there. Guaranteed they're not going to use you all the time. That is called cover quoting and corruption if someone gets the order all the time, But do they rotate? Can you get an order every 3 months within legal? 100%, because you've built a reputation. If they need that toilet paper and they say, listen, we need to order that 80 grams toilet paper today, we need a supplier that delivers. They know who to call. You want to be on that list. You want to be the guys that gets called.
Yeah. Speaking of automation, right? You guys have a portal where people can apply and all of that. What is your process when it comes to rejecting businesses? Do you get back to the business to help them understand why they were rejected?
100%.
Okay.
100%. There is something in the past that we didn't do well. Is that we admitted to that, say we just rejected, and then we realized, but we're losing clients that way. So we've changed to that to try and educate them, and obviously push harder from our side to see is there maybe a solution around this. I mean, like yesterday we had a client, great deal, but he's non-tax compliant.
Sure.
And it was a silly thing. It was 840 rand. And he's got an appointment at SARS next week. We're like, by next week they're going to cancel your order. Like you need to speak to SARS. So we have a CFO that's obviously educated on tax and all of that. So I pulled him in and I said, give this guy a call. Let's see what you got. And he got into his ePro. And within an hour, we had him compliant. We digitally paid the 840. I'm not saying it's a service we offer, but it's one of our clients. We helped this guy last year. He now got a 2 million rand PO on the brink of losing it because he needs to go because he doesn't have the money. He doesn't have the money to go to an auditing firm and say, hey, please fix my tax for me. I mean, and then, you get people that say, I'll do it for you, but hey, don't.
And that's one of the problems that many entrepreneurs face, not having audited financials. Right?
Definitely.
Yeah, it can make you miss a big opportunity of something that's so simple. What would you say to an entrepreneur who's hesitant to get PO funding and wants to scramble with personal loans or like sell their house or mortgage their house to fund a tender?
So let's break it up. I have advice on this. Like in government, you get, and in private sector, government just clearly defines it better. In government, you get 2 kind of orders. You get a tender and you get a purchase order, right? A purchase, both is labeled on a purchase order, but one stems from RFQs. So it depends on which department. Like if you say SAPs, they deem a order under 30,000 as not a tender. So it's not public, it's not live. It's supposed to be public now, it's still not, but and then anything over 30,000 is now open tender. It's live, it's all of that. Like correctional service, I think it's 250,000 last I checked, And then like Eskom, over 1 million only is seen as a tender. Under 1 million is seen as our day-to-day dealings. So you need to decide which space you're playing in. Now, I'm saying play in both. Sort yourself out for the one. Like if we're talking about personal loan, friends, family, all of that. Deals under 100K, I feel you should be able to fund that from these kind of channels, whatever you can get, whether it's a friend or a personal loan. I mean, the rate you're going to get from a personal loan of 100K is a lot cheaper than what PO funding would be anyway. But the reality is you get your second order, now you require 800K capital or 1.4 million capital. Who's coming to that party? Who's going to take that risk? You need to come to a dedicated company that's set up for that. So my advice to that is try and get as cheap as possible capital, even if it's 30K, even if it's that is your cash flow. This is money not for you to use to pay your rent or pay. This is deal money. I get a small order for 8,000 and 18. This I call your bread on the table kind of deals. Like this helps you to say, okay, at the end of the month, I've made my 20, 30K. 10 of that is going for internet and phones and the traveling, but you still have some income. And then at that same time, you focus on broadening that for the, let's call it your larger transactions. And at that time, have a peer funder, have their terms already met on the side. It's idle. It costs none of us money. You can sit and idle. Tomorrow you get awarded, you phone me same day. We'll have the tender sorted out in 4 or 5 business days. They'll have the stuff. If you're on the system, if we work together. That's what I said in the start. We can probably go out and say everybody, I mean, there's at the moment CSD has just over 1.7 million registered suppliers, just to give you that market. I'm not saying all of them's active, but let's say 20% each. That's still 300,000 people out there. We could hit that market, but we prefer the more we approach you, we grow with you. Yes, we want more business. And we'll scale our operation as they come in. But that is our business philosophy, is to come in and you are a partner.
Achieve together.
Yeah, achieve together. That's why unfortunately, I have to use the name funding to get to the market.
Yeah, you're kind of forced to use it.
Yeah, I don't feel like a financial guy. I don't feel like a funder. For me, if you're saying funder, it's someone a big, Makulu with the money and what. It's not that. We have been in this space. We've been there. We might have access to a lot of capital, but it's not because someone saw the opportunity of what we can do. It's what we've built over the years by delivering a lot of government deals, whatever suppliers working with us, accounts, banks. It's not a quick overnight thing. It took me, I said 2020 is where I drew the line and said, we are not involved in trying to get business anymore. We will now let all our partners do that, and we will officially only become the partner on the delivering. So since about 2022, we completely stopped saying we go out to go, because it's going to become an issue. Like these guys are bidding and you have a fund and tomorrow you're here, but the funder got the deal.
Yeah.
Well, we cannot do that. So we made the decision when we launched to say we're going all out on this. That is the way forward for us. That is more scalable for us. Because obviously, for us at scale as well, we don't want, because we're in the same business as everybody. Like we're going to hear from this department now and then only 3 months later, how do I manage cash flow like that? So we decided, let's support all the SMEs. Let's go this way. And let's bring actual value, the thing that works. Like we can bring money. I mean, everybody thinks money solves the problem. It doesn't.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I think you've closed it off beautifully. You want to bring value. You're not just a funder, you are a partner.
Yes.
Catch Ruan Fourie at our SME Funding Summit on the 18th of June at Focus Rooms in Sandton. Thank you so much, Ruan.
Thank you so
this was very insightful.
Awesome. Thank you.
And I wish you guys all the best.
Thank you so much. Sharp, guys.